Good morning, Flosstube. It's Julie, the Gulf Coast Stitcher, back for my third Flosstube video. I would like to thank you all so much for tuning in again, all of those of you who subscribed. I appreciate that so much. I was so much better received than I thought I would be, so I'm here again for another video. I don't have a whole lot of stuff to go over today, mainly because it's been a crazy week here. My daughter turned 17, so we had birthday week. We went bowling at a place here called Uncle Buck's Fish Bowl, which is owned by Bass Pro Shop. It's awesome. It's like the setting is as if you're in an underwater reef, so it's pretty neat. I'll share some pictures of that on my Instagram, as I have no idea how to enter photos like all of you guys seem so good at. I have no idea how to enter them into my video, so I'll post some of those on Instagram. But we had a wonderful time. We bowled. We had gator, which is something that we do down here in the South. Not all the time, but we did have gator as an appetizer, and I had gator mac and cheese as my entree. The kids had some sandwiches, and it was really, really good. So that was a fun time, but it did take away from stitching time, which, hey, that happens, right? As much as we'd all love to be able to stitch all day long, we have other things, like our wonderful kid's birthday. Also, I'm in school, as I've discussed with you guys before, and I'm taking a full load of 5 classes. I'm a senior this year in my bachelor's program, and the accounting class might just kill me. I'm a pretty smart girl. I cannot get this accounting down very easily. So that's taken up like 75% of my study time. Then the other 25% of the time I'm working on the other 4 classes, and I try to stitch after dinner. So I don't have a ton of progress. I do have one finish, and it was my first time ever stitching in hand. I started this on my last video. I stitched in hand and used the sewing method just to see if it would be any faster. And oh my word, it went by so fast. I wouldn't do this method for every project, for anything that I'm really concerned with how perfectly my stitches lay or anything like that. But for ornaments, smalls, some stuff for seasonal stuff, I would absolutely do this again. And I'm doing it on one of my projects, but let's see. What can I use as a backing? I'm not prepared for this. Well, maybe I don't have to. No. So, whoops, I just dropped my book that I'm going to show you in a second. This is Little House Needleworks. I showed him last week just a few just a few stitches. This is on 14 count. Picture this plus and spice. The one thing I'll say about stitching in hand, if you're going to try to do the sewing method, is this fabric is so soft that it was a little bit more challenging. It just doesn't stand up very well, which is what we love about Picture This Plus, but it made it a little more difficult to stitch in hand. I really had to try to keep it taut with my fingers. I think something a little heavier might have been a little easier or a little stiffer, but it wasn't bad. I mean, you can see the stitches aren't perfect, but it'll work. Okay, so that was my one little finish. I really thought I would have some more for you guys by this week, but like I said, had so much going on. I'm kind of out of order on my notes here. I wanted to first mention a few floss tubers that we all know and love. Yvonne with the Night Owl Stitcher. I love listening to her when I'm stitching. It reminds me, she's kind of got an accent like everybody around here does, and it's just comforting. I watch her videos while stitching. I'm a binge watcher. I'm a little late to the Flosstube game, but as a result of that, I have tons of binge watching to catch up on. And my family is from Albany, Georgia, and she's in Augusta, Georgia, so I feel a little kinship with her with that too. The Joan and Kelly show, I know you guys all watch and love them like I do. My favorite thing is when I'm stitching and Kelly says, okay, look up now. Yeah, look up now. You need to look at this. That is so helpful, because a lot of times I'm doing multiple things. I might even have it on while I'm cooking in the kitchen or something, and I stop and I look, and I'm always glad I did. So thank you so much for that, Kelly. Kimberly, the Distracted Stitcher, she's just that. She's got 100 things going on. I love her stitch pieces. She's entertaining. I really enjoy watching her. And Kimberly mentioned the Jane Austen reading and stitch along group. So immediately I had to go investigate that. And when I did, I loved it. So ironically, I found it on March 1st, which was the beginning of their new read and stitch. They do every 2 months, Jane Austen novel and then related stitching, and you can post your progress on the Facebook page. So March 1st was the beginning of Pride and Prejudice. I absolutely love that book. I love the series. I love the audio. So when I get to haul, I'll show you what I'm planning on doing for that. Whips related to that, while I was on that page, I saw another stitcher that's on that page, and I believe her name is Tish, and forgive me if I didn't get that right. She posted a freebie for the previous read was Sense and Sensibility, I think, or it was one of the previous reads, and she posted a freebie that she designed, and I fell in love with it and immediately started stitching it as a gift for my daughter, which I couldn't keep secret from her. I had to show it to her, but I'm almost done. I knew I would be done before I posted this video, but I didn't make the cutoff. But you can see here, this is just the sneak peek. I don't want to take it out of the Q-snap because I literally only have this little bit left to go, a few numbers and a little bit of this filigree work here. But it says, I will be calm, I will be mistress of myself. And that's a great message for teenage girls, women of all ages. I love it. So stitching that for Sarah. And I'm stitching this the first time I've ever used Legacy linen. Legacy linen? No. Lakeside linens. The color is maple sugar. Immediately fell in love with it. It has like a purplish brown undertone to it, which is why I selected the purple floss, because you could use any color. I love it. I want everybody to do, you know me, if I love something, I think everybody should go out and get it all. So Lakeside linens, I'm sure you experienced stitchers know this is amazing. It's awesome where it's at for sure. So I have that. And then Christine from Stitch All the Things made mention of a Facebook group called Bewitched Stitches. And I checked it out and applied to be accepted into the group. You have to answer a few little questions. And let me just tell you, I love the content of that channel. Regardless of what your personal feelings are about said material, if you don't like it, scroll on. But if you enjoy stitching like Halloween, you like dark humor, you're not easily offended, I think was one of the questions. It's a great group. There's some familiar faces in there and some new people that I've never met before. So they're doing an Edgar Allan Poe stitch along, which, let me tell you, Stephanie and Pam posted that they were participating in this on their channel, and then Pam posted a chart that she was doing by, I think it's Cross-Eyed Cricket collection. So I immediately went to 1-2-3 Stitch. I was like, I need to get this. I'll do the stitch along. I'll get it because, hey, who doesn't have enough projects going, right? I go there, put it in my cart, go to check out. I didn't leave it. I put it in the cart and went to check out, and then it was out of stock. So, okay, I went back to the page. I said, let's see some other things that people are stitching. Did the same thing. Out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. So, Stephanie, you're right. You guys are kind of a big deal. Anything you mention immediately went out of stock. So, I didn't get the opportunity to participate in that one, but I am stitching a tiny little witchy stitch. You guys all know this one. It's a Lizzie Kate. Why, yes, I can drive a stick. My needle minder is peeking through. The back side of it is there. It's a little snippet. I'm doing it on orange creamsicle, 14 count, hand dyed, and I am using, my needle's still sticking in there, I'm using the sewing method on this. So easy, so fast. Makes it easy to transport too. So that is a current whip. The Sense and Sensibility is a current whip and almost complete, and that's really the only whips I have going. I do have a few things kitted up. Let's see. This looks like a mess around me. You guys should see it. Wordplay by Brenda Gervais. Most of you guys are familiar with this. This is the March wordplay. Completely kitted, fabrics in the bag, in the Ziploc bag. Floss is already pulled out. Haven't started it yet. So I'm thinking, I hope I can get to that in March and get it finished. It won't take very long because it's a lot of words, but there's so many other things. Like, that's the hard part. That's the hard part with doing anything with a month on it for me, is if I don't start, we're in March, I should really be starting June, because I'm going to bounce around and I'm going to find 1,000 other things that I have to have between now and June. Let's see. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. I actually have notes and I'm not really following them that well. A few new floss tubers, or new to me, I should say, not new. By new, I mean they have less than 10 videos or something like that. Whistle Stop Stitcher. She owns a quilting retreat bed and breakfast in Sweetwater, Tennessee. I am formerly of Knoxville, Tennessee, so I feel a kindred sistership with her there. Jenny, the long dog stitcher, was lovely and nice and gave me a mention on her video. She has, I think, 2 videos out, and she's not been stitching that long, and she selects really big, pretty tough projects to take on. So I'm super impressed with her skill level and her courageousness to just jump into these bigger stitches. And then Tiffany Stitches. I love watching her. She's a bright light. I sent some stitchy happy mail to her, to Yvonne, and to Pam and Steph this week. I received stitchy mail from Melanie at Melly Ellie Stitches. Thank you so much. She sent me a peppermint patty, needle minder, and some floss, and a really sweet handwritten card. So thank you so much. That's what makes this community awesome. It's so nice to get something in the mail. It's lovely to get stuff in the mail that you expect, that you went online and purchased. It's not so great to get bills in the mail. That happens to all of us. But to get that unsolicited surprise happy mail is awesome. I got something really awesome to share with you guys when I get to that. So let's talk about books. I dropped my book on the floor. I'm going to bend over and pick it up because I have no idea how to pause this video and to start it again and get it all in the same video, because I'm using my MacBook. I'm using Photo Booth, so I have no idea how to do that. So I'm going to so gracefully, not really, bend over and get this. Excuse me. I'm back, and see, you didn't even hardly notice I was gone, right? All right, let's talk about books a little bit, because I try to include some booky news in every one of my Flosstube videos. If you're not into reading or listening to books, you can fast forward through this part. My current new acquisition, I heard one of the stitchers refer to that as a stash enhancement. So this is my library enhancement. It is The Last Castle by Denise Kiernan. And I'm not very far into it, so I'm going, if you'll allow me to, I'm going to read the New York Times little quote on the back from it. It says, "The Last Castle gripped me from the very first page. With a historian's keen insight and a poet's gift for language, Denise Kiernan depicts life at Biltmore with such skill, I felt like I was there through it all. Weddings, divorce, elaborate and slightly bizarre balls, financial glory, financial ruin, murder, suicide, natural disasters, betrayal, love, loss, despair, and triumph. The story of George and Edith Vanderbilt's remarkable lives will stay with me for a long, long time to come." So if you know anything about me, if you follow me on Instagram or Facebook or both, you know that the Biltmore Estate in Asheville is one of my favorite places. I took my daughter there. I've been there through every season. I've done the candlelit Christmas, the roses in the spring. I love this. And I've always been surprised that there weren't any more books about it. There are a few historical books, but this book reads like a novel, but it's all true. So it's beautiful. This author also did one called The Atomic City Girls, which is on my to be read list. I can't tell you enough how awesome this is. So I guess I can tell you enough. I'm going to keep doing it, right? So, the thing about my personality, as you get to know me, is I saw this on the internet. I have 2 modes: totally obsessed or uninterested. That applies to my stitching. That applies to my literacy interest. That applies to everything for me. So when I buy a book, if I buy a hardback, an actual physical book, which I don't do as much anymore unless I go to the used bookstore, if it's something I love, it is not uncommon for me to have the book, the Kindle book, and the audiobook. So this is one that I have the book and also the Kindle version because I like to read before I go to bed at night. And my Kindle, which I brought down the one I use for reading, I have two, one that I use for surfing Flosstube and then one I use for reading. So this is my Kindle Oasis. You can see it's very small. It's an Amazon product. It has this really cool little Amazon case on it, which you can use to prop up, but it's a smart case, so when you shut it, it turns off. And what I love the most about it, trying to get it to load up something here, well, you can see this part, is that it is paper white, so you can see it doesn't put off any illumination, hardly at all, but it's smart paper white, so the color changes based on how bright the room is that you're in. It's anti-glare. It doesn't put off a ton of light, so I can read laying next to my fiance and it doesn't disturb him at all at night. Kindle, this is the Kindle Voyage. I may have said that before. Kindle Voyager. They do have a new one, I think, called Oasis, but this one is actually lighter. It has better battery life, and I love it. You can see how teeny it is. So it's perfect to throw in your purse. So why do I have all these? Because I probably will be less likely to put this in my purse and schlep it around, and I'll put this in here. This also contains entire libraries and volumes of books. For example, if you were in the Jane Austen Stitch-Along that I mentioned earlier, the entire Jane Austen collection of all of her books is available at the Kindle store right now for $1.99 for all of the books. So I have those in print, but I also have them on here because you never know, right? When you're going to need to access them. So let's see. We talked about what I'm currently reading. What I'm listening to, I brought my other Kindle to show you. I'm currently listening to Pride and Prejudice. Try not to get a glare here. I like to show these because there's a zillion narrations of these books. This is the Audible exclusive narrated by Rosamund Pike. So if you are familiar with film at all, you'll know that she was in Gone Girl. She is a fantastic narrator. When we talk about narrators, or when I talk about narrators, if you're relatively new to the audio world, there's a few things you should know. First of all, how famous or much money, I guess, the book has in support is directly related to how wonderful the narration will or will not be. So there are a ton of other apps that you can get free audiobooks, downloads, you can share on some of those, but most of those are going to have, they're going to be authors you haven't heard of, or they may be books that you know, but then they're going to not be great narration. So that's something to look out for. I mean, it's fine. You can still get a good listen in, but the quality of the narration is usually the best on Audible, in my experience. Or if you physically check them out from the library, and again, those all have a lot of production money behind them. So if you're new and you go to the Audible app, the great thing to know about that is it shares across all of your Amazon devices. So it'll share on your Kindle, it'll share on your phone, it'll share on your computer, it'll be everywhere. And if you do Kindle, regular reading Kindle, and you purchase an Audible book, many of the Audible books have what's called Whisper Sync technology. So what's so cool about that is that you can be listening to a book. I'll use Game of Thrones, for example. Game of Thrones is a massive story. Wonderful narration on that. So you're listening to Game of Thrones, you're into it, you're in the car, it's really good, you get home, put the groceries away, sit down in the living room, everybody else is doing something else, and you don't want to be weird and put your earbuds on while your family's sitting there, so you think, I'll read a little. When you pick your Kindle up and you go to the Game of Thrones book, it's going to be precisely where you left off on your Audible. So, okay, you read a couple pages, get busy, you use your smart your smart case, you close it, it turns it off, get back in the car tomorrow, get on your Audible, it's where you left off when you were reading. So it keeps your place. That's awesome. Another feature I use all the time is the sleep timer. I don't really listen to Audible in bed very much, but I do when I'm doing other things around the house. And the sleep timer sets for, I think, 7 or 15 minutes. And that way, if you do fall asleep or you get super busy doing something else, you don't come back to realize the book is over and you don't remember where you left off, or you don't hear any spoilers because you've just stepped back into it and you're at a different part. So that's pretty awesome. The other cool thing to mention about Audible is that if you can sample everything. So why people don't do that, I don't know. But you can sample everything just as you can on Kindle. And if you're unhappy with your purchase, you can return it, which is awesome. I mean, obviously they won't, I've never tried to return something I've listened to all the way through, but I have listened to a few chapters and been like, this, even though the narration is good, the story's not there for me. No problem. Return, no questions asked. You just let them know, they give you your credit back, and you're on to the next book. So that's awesome. So enough about my Kindle and my book rants. I'm 20 minutes in. We haven't talked about too much stitching. I did want to just mention a few more things off my notes. Nashville Market. I had really hoped that by today I would get some of my Nashville Market haul from the various shops I ordered it from, but we know how crazy that was for them. By all accounts, I think this is one of the most successful markets that has happened in years, so they're swamped. I get it. It's just cross-stitch stuff. As excited as I am to get some of it, I know it'll be here soon. I have startitis because of getting all of these new things coming in from Market, and just because I've been acquiring a little bit here and there. I mean, there's no surprise. I need to be stitching from Stash, people, but what are you gonna do? It's our hobby. It's what we love. I am going to show a few things that came in. These are not Market hauls. They are stuff I bought from Etsy, something that I can thank most of you guys for enabling me with. I wasn't really a big Etsy shopper before my stitchy days, but they've got some pretty cool stuff on there. So let's see. Without further ado, I'm all over the place with this video, and I apologize for that, but I know that you understand. So we know that I love Ida Mae and Ira Ray Crow. I sent a couple private messages to some of the designers, to Lori Brecklin, to the Primitive Hair, and I asked them, like, what, do you have any cultural historical information on these dressed up animals in sort of a pseudo-realism style? Because I'm into it. I don't know how or why I became into this, but I love my crows. I love blackbirds anyway. I'm blessed that my beautiful backyard and the wonderful feeding station that my fiance has engineered, that I host a daily murder of crows that come and feast late in the morning, and then they go back to roost wherever it is that they live. And that population has grown, let me tell you, from about 10 birds to about 50 birds. Also in the tall seagrass by my house, back on the beach, which I showed in my last video, the tall seagrass is home to red-winged blackbirds that I did not know. Once I discovered that they even existed, I didn't realize that they would bed on ground in tall seagrass. So I'm happy to play host to them too. So they and the squirrels fight over whatever food's out there. The reason I'm not out back today is because it's freezing here. Now, forgive me if you're up north, because I know many stitchers are, but for us on the Gulf Coast, it's 38 degrees right now, and on the water that feels like 25 degrees. And I can't do it. I'm sorry. I'm a thin-skinned Florida girl. I'm in my long sleeves and in the house. Actually have the fire on in the living room. It's chilly. It's breezy. So that's why I'm back inside this video. But I promise to go back out and do another one soon, because I know you guys were wonderful about being understanding about all the sounds and crazy lighting and all that out there. But I digress again. Sorry about that. So I contacted some of that was a really long way to get around to saying this. I contacted some of the designers, and of course, because it was Market, I only heard back from a few, but they directed me to the title of what this art is kind of labeled under is, and I'm going to probably butcher this, anthropomorphism. So it's basically the dressing up or humanizing of non-human objects like animals. I like the more realistic, I like primitive things. I got looking at old photographs from the turn of the century where people had dressed up, foxes and birds, and it was weird and a little gothic, but I really like it. So, as you know, I have Ida Mae done. Ira Ray is in the queue waiting to be done, and to that I have added Cornelia Crow from Not Forgotten Farm, and this is a horrible picture. I mean, I know it doesn't translate on video, but it's not even that great in person. I'm sure it's a reprint. It came from 2014. But Not Forgotten Farm, Cornelia Crow, and where there's Cornelia, there's Reginald Raven. So I love those. And I did order some primitive hair. I absolutely love her blog and her content. I'm so excited to get more primitive. I don't know where I've been or why I never saw that. I think as you develop as a stitcher and you get more confident, you kind of start to steer away from the not smaller, but the less intimidating projects into things that are a little more intense. The only one that I did get in already was for my Jane Austen Read and Stitch Along, and this is Pride and Prejudice. And what I love about this, and all of the charts that I've gotten from the primitive hair, is that she shows it on 2 separate fabrics, which she almost always does. And then she shows, if you don't want to do the whole thing, you can just do Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy in a small, which I'm going to do this one. In fact, I have the primitive hair fabric on order. Speaking of fabric, I went from, I think I've mentioned this before, like most of us go to, from 14 count, inched my way up. I'm now comfortable with 32 and 36. But one of my market purchases is not here yet, is the Eliza Bell Cox sampler from Hands Across the Sea. It is absolutely stunning. It's rated as an advanced beginner, which I feel like I'm good for that. It's over 2, except for a few small spots. Then it's 1/1, which, I mean, when I say small, it's like the eye of a bird and a few other things. And there are, I want to say, less than 20 straight stitches. The rest are cross stitch. So that is a beautiful chart that's on its way from Hands Across the Sea. I reached out to Nicola Parkman and discussed with her the fact that I have never used silks, and while I'm not opposed to silks at all, I am, however, opposed to the fact that it's $285 to get the silks required for that one chart, and they may be colors I never use again. So she said it does come with a DMC conversion. And from that conversion, I contacted Nancy Turner, and she is just lovely. We'll talk more about her in a second. I contacted her and sent her the list and asked her on bended knee if she would see what she had that might match up with it so that I could stitch it in Victorian motto. Sampler shop threads, you guys know how I feel about that if you watched my last video. So she is in the middle of doing her Fabric of the Month Club, but told me that she would look into it and try to get back with me, and I'm quite certain she will. So once I get Eliza Bell Cox, once I get her sampler in on my next video, I'm going to come up with a start date. I already have a friend in Australia who's going to stitch it with me, and I'm going to host my first stitch along. So you have time. It will probably be 1st of April, maybe even middle of April, depending on how long it takes to get all the supplies in. You have time if you want to join that stitch along, so take a look at it, see if it's something that you would be interested in stitching. If it is, shoot me a message on Instagram or leave me a message in the comments below, and we'll make sure that we get together on that. I'm sure there'll be hashtags like pretty quickly when people start getting their hands on that, as it was a Nashville release and it's pretty popular right now. But I'm going to start a Facebook group, because even though it's a sampler that we're all going to respect and try to do as close as we can to the original reproduction version, we're all going to select different fabrics. We're going to use different floss. We're going to do what's within our skill and budget. So it'll be really interesting to see how everybody does that. So stay tuned for that. I have primitive hair things coming. As I was talking about my love for all animals dressed up suddenly, I ordered the colonial hair, which, oh, I cannot wait to get that. In fact, that might be here today or tomorrow. When it'll get started, I have no idea. But I love this all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on with that, but it's really nice. So, that being said, let's see. Where am I at? Brenda Gervais. She posted a picture on the way to market on her Instagram of some stitching that she was doing. And on said stitching, she had a little small hoop. And she said that these hoops were they're from Japan, I believe. I didn't bring they are from Japan. And they are called Cosmo hoops. So immediately I scoured the internet because I'm new. I'm trying to find the things that work best for me. This is the 5-inch Cosmo hoop. Let's see, it says Cosmo in there. And it only comes in 5-inch. I'm about to drop my Kindles. Let me get those out of the way. It only comes in 5-inch and 4-inch. But what she said she loves about these is that there's no screws for your floss and things to get hung up on. The tension is super tight. I did put a piece of fabric on it to see how I felt about them. They're pretty nice. My friend Donna Rae at Flannel Jammies Farms suggested that we all try to find some vintage Duchess embroidery hoops. And I scored some on Etsy, and I don't think the lady knew what she had, and they were pretty cheap. So then after I got them off Etsy, which they're not here yet, they're in the mail, I thought, let me go check eBay, and some of those in good condition on eBay were upwards of $50. I will tell you that I have 2 that I got for under $10. So we'll see what condition they're in when they actually get here, but if the photos do them any justice, I'm pretty excited about that. So if you want to try these, like I said, they're Cosmo. I forget how they're listed. One Touch. Cosmo One Touch embroidery hoops from Japan. The only place that I found them online at a reasonable cost was at the Fat Quarter Shop. I'm not a quilter. I'm not a sewer. You guys know I don't even own a sewing machine. But when I did the Google search, that's where it came up. And let me tell you, the service was super awesome from there. I got them in maybe 48 hours at max. They have both sizes in stock. So if you want to try that again, Cosmo One Touch hoops. Brenda Gervais said that they were the modern day equivalent to Duchess. So I grabbed 2 because that's what we do, right? And then the other mail that I got, this is so exciting. I just hit my computer. You guys know how excited I am about what? Victorian motto. We already know this. Sorry about all the banging and clanking around. I have a really small space here to work in inside the house. So I got my Floss of the Month club. I'll just do this in there. I get the 12 as I told you. So I'll do this in some smaller lots. But this month I got the primitives. I think I was probably signed up to get the limiteds, which are the bright ones, but it was a blessing. The primitives are exactly what I needed, actually. So, 20 yard skeins, beautifully hand-dyed. I absolutely love this one. You can't tell, but it says Barely Pink, and it's got just the slightest wash of pink on it. That will be beautiful. Show you these. I love them. I love her product, and I just love her. I can't even begin to tell you. I know I talk about it all the time, but Look at how beautiful those are. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Again, like I said, she has the DMC conversions on there. It doesn't get much better than that. I really need to get a DMC color card. I don't have one of those, and when I have to match up colors, I'm a hot mess with that. I get it done, but it takes a little bit longer than it probably should. So if anybody has an old DMC color card that they don't need anymore, or they got the new one and want to get rid of it, find me, reach out to me. We'll work us out a deal on that. And then these are the last ones for the month. I mean, can't you just imagine how beautiful those are going to be? So pretty. So, you guys know I said she has the most generous spirit. She's kind. She's a blessing. I hope that she keeps doing this for a real long time. Well, she knows that I gave her a big, huge product shout out. And I asked on my last video if you did contact her and you did reach out to her to let her know that I sent you. And so many of you did. I don't know how many new subscribers she has, but she's got quite a few to the monthly club. So thank you guys so much for that. I mean, we've got to keep these ladies that work so hard. We really need to keep them in our business. I mean, not that I don't love DMC, but the fact that someone's undoubtedly staying up late and dyeing all these dyeing all these flosses and putting them on the cards and packaging them up. There's a lot of work that goes into that, and I just love supporting it. So, I promised that I would show you what they look like before you rip into them and pull them all out of the box. I have hair everywhere. I apologize about that. So, this is the Spring Flowers collection. And I know it's shiny, and I'm sorry that it's glaring, but look how beautiful she packages these up. I told you, they come in a gift box. It's put in with so much care, with a ribbon. Just absolutely, this is the Spring Flowers. So, the monthly club, I got the primitives this month, but you can purchase additional collections, and this is her Spring Flowers collection. But if you are a viewer, and you become a subscriber, or if you're already a subscriber, are you guys ready for this? For your giveaway, love Nancy. Nancy gave me a full collection, so this will have 12 skeins, valued at, with shipping and tax, $30.17 is, I think, about what it averages, depending on where you ship it to. She was so appreciative for the shout-outs, the great response, that she contacted me and asked me if she could send me along a little something to pass on to you guys. So, it's time for a gift away. It's my first gift away, and I'm sure you all know the rules. Please do not mention giveaway or gift away in your comments. Please, please, please be a subscriber. Like this video, be a subscriber, give me a shout out, do whatever you can do to promote my channel, and you'll get entered to win. I will ship this out. I'm going to give this video, let's see, today is Thursday. I will do the drawing next Saturday. So you have, what is that, 9 days to get your comments in, subscribe, and this beautiful baby can be yours. I was kind of jealous that I didn't order this for myself yet, so I might be having to call Miss Nancy and tell her to send another one of these along for me. And she probably knew that would happen because I love her threads. So obsessed. So what a wonderful giveaway, guys. I got over 500 subscribers now. Almost 600, I think. I never thought I would get that many. When I hit 35 subscribers, I was doing a happy dance in my kitchen with my daughter. So the fact that I've gotten such a wonderful reception, and I've gotten some wonderful stitchy mail, and I've been able to, in turn, pass on wonderful random acts of kindness. I'm just going to continue to do these videos. I just appreciate you guys so much. So comment, like, subscribe, and in your comment, let me see, what would be a good question? I should have given this some thought before I got in front of the camera, huh? Let's see. Let's make this easy. In your comment, so that I'll know that you want to be entered into the gift away, let me know what your favorite market release from Nashville Market 2018 was, whether you purchased anything or not. What was your favorite item that you saw? I have so many coming in that I hate to pick a favorite, but I have to say so far I'm leaning towards that Eliza Bell Cox sampler. It'll be my first big endeavor, and I've been so supported and cheerleaded on to trying to do this. So the stitch along's probably gonna go on for like a year. So if you don't get it right away or you're not budgeted for it, don't fret. I will let you know, like I said, if Nancy is able to create a floss pack for us for that, because it'll be way cheaper than getting the silks. But if you have silks or you love silks, you can do that. You can always do DMC. There is a full conversion listed. You can already see the materials that are needed online if you have ordered the kit or the chart, or you haven't received it yet, or you're just wondering what the colors will look like. There's a ton of info online about it already. So I'm so thrilled for you guys. I thought I was going to just gift away a chart on my first gift away, but this is awesome. So thank you guys so much for that. I don't know. I guess that's all I have. My notes were all over the place. I think I did all my shout outs. I just discovered one last person. You guys all know Michelle Bendy Stitchy. I just discovered her videos. I'm not going to say discovered them yesterday, but I just started binging yesterday. Well, she's wonderful. So I hope she'll find this video and maybe enter the giveaway too and pass it on, the info on to her subscribers. The more people that have the opportunity to win these awesome floss, the better to me. I mean, it's such a great community. So I guess that's it for this time. By the next time I do a video, which hopefully will be next week, I should have all my market haul. I should have a good start on something else. I should be finished with the Sense and Sensibility. I should have a new book that I've got queued up. So there should be lots of new info. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been 42 minutes of me rambling about whatever. I'm so disorganized this video, but I thank you again. Please leave questions, comments below, but no hate mail. Thanks so much, guys. Have a wonderful weekend.